Today we're talking about the secret to actually stopping fear that works. How many times have you stopped yourself from stepping up to that challenge and taking up that opportunity that you've always wanted to because you're afraid? Well, it's time to change that. If you haven't done so already, remember to hit the subscribe button and also the notification bell so that you're notified each time we publish new videos, which is Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'm gonna tell you 3 stories about how I have faced fear and experienced fear in my life. And in exchange for story time, I want you to share with me in the comments a time when you have experienced fear in your life as well. The first time was a few years ago when my pastor asked me to actually speak and deliver the sermon on a Sunday morning, and I thought to myself, I'm definitely not prepared, I'm definitely not qualified to be doing such a thing, and I felt so afraid. So I really wanted to tell her no, because I know that I'm just going to embarrass myself, I'm going to be filled with fear, and I'm going to run away from the stage or start crying. Like all these horrendous pictures were just playing out in my mind, you guys, and I was just so hesitant. So I took a minute to think about it, and I told myself, and that was an important turning point in my life. I told myself that anytime someone approaches me with an offer and I'm feeling afraid about doing it, I'm going to say yes, even if it means falling flat on my face. So I said yes, and I remember I prepared and then I delivered the sermon, or you can call it a talk. And it was actually pretty okay, given my level of experience at that time. The second story is when I was in primary school. I went to a school where swimming was compulsory, you guys, and we had to learn swimming. And so my mom always used to put a swimming costume in my bag, but I was so afraid of swimming, so much so that every time she put a swimming costume in my bag, I would take it out of the bag, throw it under the bed, so that by the time I got to school, I didn't have a swimming costume in my bag. And the teachers would contact my mother and say, why is it your child comes to school without a swimming costume? And mom will be like, Lorraine, I put the swimming costume in your bag last night. How come you didn't take it to school? And I was like, Mom, I'm afraid of swimming. So as a result, I actually never learned how to swim. And even now as an adult living in Australia, where people love, like Australia is the land of swimmers, you guys. People love swimming here. I still cannot swim. And I always look at it as an example of when I was too afraid to face my fear and I decided to run away. And as a result, I lack an important skill. So I have one of my resolutions is to still go back, swim school, and do some swimming lessons. And then the last story is my fear of riding a bike. So I was always scared as a child of learning how to ride a bike, because people would always say, if you want to learn how to ride a bike, then you have to be prepared to fall. Well, I wasn't prepared to fall. So I never learned how to ride a bike until the ripe age of 32 years. Last year, I finally went for my bike riding lessons. Shout out Leanne, she's such an amazing coach. And she gave me 2 lessons, and by the end of the second lesson, I was off to the races. I was riding a bike. So now I've got a bike. I regularly go bike riding. And I remember the moment in which I mastered the art of actually balancing on the bike. It was the most exhilarating feeling. I started crying. So I'm busy riding. I'm like, oh, I'm doing it. And I was really crying. I was surprised at how joyous it is when you actually conquer your fear. So how can you actually stop fear in its tracks? The first thing is feel the fear and do it anyway. I hear people always talk about how to take away fear, how to stop fearing, and all those things, right? But I want you to know that fear will always be an important ingredient of your life. Fear brings you alive. Fear is equal to excitement. It's a negative, it's kind of like the negative connotation of excitement, but fear shows you that you're out of your comfort zone. I don't want you to be this person that is always running away from fear and seeking comfortable pastures. Feel the fear. Put yourself in situations where you're actually afraid. feel the fear, and despite feeling the fear, I want you to go ahead and do that thing. The second thing is seek out opportunities for you to fear. And I know that this sounds crazy, but each time you feel fear, I want you to actually get excited, because it means that you're pushing yourself out of that comfort zone. So instead of feeling bad about it, become excited each time you're feeling fear. The third thing is be prepared. If you're doing something for the first time, let's say you want to go public speaking and you've never done public speaking before, be prepared. Make sure you know your subject matter. I know for me, when I needed to deliver a sermon, I had to read the Bible. I had to spend time in prayer. I had to go to a quiet place and just be by myself so that I could be well prepared. I had to memorize what I wanted to talk about. I had to have a vision about where it is I wanted to go. And that preparation really came in handy when I was delivering my talk, when I was delivering the sermon, because then I could put aside the fear, I could put aside the nerves and just concentrate on serving. Because I've seen that what fear does is it takes you away from service. It takes you away from focusing on the person that you're delivering value to, and you start focusing on yourself. Fear sometimes makes you you're just thinking about yourself. How am I going to look? How is this going to come out? But when you overcome your fear, you step into the area of service, because you're now thinking about the other person. How do I make this other person's life better? How do I make their day a positive experience? So overcoming fear is about service. And lastly, and this one is exciting, reward yourself each time you push yourself out of your comfort zone. Actually make it a habit, make it a routine, make it a ritual to do something to actually celebrate each time you push yourself out of your comfort zone. As you do that, you tell your mind that fear is associated with reward. You train your mind to become excited each time there's a fearful situation for you to face. And by the way, when I'm talking about fear, I'm talking about fear when it comes to doing good things. I'm not talking about fear when it comes to breaking the rules or cheating. I'm not talking about fear in that capacity. It's definitely fear when it comes to positively growing your life. Have you subscribed? If you have not subscribed already, definitely hit subscribe and also the notification bell so that you're notified each time we publish a new episode, which is Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. I'm curious, when was the last time you did something to actually face your fear, and how did it go? I want to see some stories in the comment section. I want you guys to light up the comments with your story. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Lorraine, and I'll see you on the next episode.